Padma from Virginia, welcoming all of you to the Bhakti Sangha conference call today. I thank all of you for attending the session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy names which are to be avoided, written by Srila Vyasadeva in the Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or to independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining the Bhakti Sangha conference call today. Let us move to our next session today, Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Padma Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vanita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vanita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Vijay Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gupta Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, all glories to Radha Madhava. Please accept my humble obeisance to you and respectful Zoom devotees who are presented today. M. Charnalakshmi from Malaysia. Thank you very much and Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I didn't capture your name. Mataji, your name, Mataji?
Charnalakshmi.
Tarana Lakshmi. Hare Krishna Tarana Lakshmi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Is there anybody else who would like to introduce themselves? I would like to give a brief introduction about the Prabhuji today. Today we are
Once
going
again, Mataji, we will start the recording.
Okay, Mataji. Yeah, sorry. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are fortunate to have a speaker today, His Grace Sureshwar Shyam Prabhuji, for giving us a brief talk about on the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, 2nd chapter, 30th verse. His Grace Sureshwar Shyam Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaja. He conducts Bhakti Vriksha in Charlotte and does book distribution. He started many reading programs and Bhagavad Gita classes in Charlotte. Sureshwar Shyam Prabhuji is a board member of ISKCON Charlotte and he is in charge of all finances. He manages book purchase, book distribution in Charlotte. He is very enthusiastic devotee and humble worker, always taking the lead in organizing Bhakti events in Charlotte. It is impossible to have Bhakti event in Charlotte without the initial preparation and plan by His Grace Sureshwar Shyam Prabhuji. He visits DeLand, Florida ashram regularly and is working hard to fulfill the vision of his Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhaktichar Swami Maharaj. He is a very regular attendee of our group and also asks very nice questions and nice realizations. And he makes a notes for each class, and he's our last minute speaker so most of the times. Hare Krishna Prabhu. On the call. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for joining the call to this morning and enlightening on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, 2nd chapter and 38th verse. Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Please take over the call, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much, Mataji. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity. So, when we have to speak, we have to read again, rethink what we have to speak. So that helps us to get more intense in our thought process. So today we'll be discussing from 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, verse 38. So we'll get started. Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, I can hear you. We can hear you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll continue and share my screen. So we'll continue with 7th canto, 2nd chapter and verse 38. So here we will recite the verse and synonyms and translation and purport. So aho vayam danya atma yadatra, aho vayam dayatatma yadatra, tyakta pitra vayam na vichintayamaha, abhyakshamana abhala vikradibihi, sa rakshita rakshati yohi garbe, aho vayam danya atma yadatra, tyakta pitribhyam na vichintyamaha, bhayakshmana abhala vrikadibhi sa rakshita rakshiti yohi garbe. So that is the verse. So we will see aho, alas, vayam, we, dhanya tamaha, most fortunate, yat, because, atra, at the present moment, tyaktaha, left alone without protection, pitribhyam, by both father and mother, not, vichintaya maha, worry, abha kshamanaha, not being eaten, abalaha, very weak, vrika dibihi, by tigers and other ferocious animals, saha, he, the supreme personality of Godhead, rakshitha, will protect, rakshati, has protected, yaha, who, he indeed, garbhe, within the womb. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is wonderful that these elderly women who do not have a higher sense of life than we do. Indeed, we are most fortunate, for although we are children and have been left to struggle in material life, unprotected by father and mother. Although we are very weak, we have not been vanquished or eaten by ferocious animals. Thus, we have a firm belief that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given us protection, even in the womb of the mother, will protect us everywhere. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:61, Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam hrideshu arjuna tishtati. The Lord is present in the core of everyone's heart. Thus the Lord gives protection to everyone and gives different types of bodies the living entities wants to enjoy. Everything is done by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should not lament the birth and death of living beings, which have been arranged by the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham Hridhi Sannivishto Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. One must act according to the direction of the Lord within the heart, because the conditioned soul wants to act independently. The Lord gives him the facility to act and experience the reactions. The Lord says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other duties and simply surrender unto me. One who does not abide by the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is given the facility to enjoy this material world. Instead of restricting him, the Lord gives the conditioned soul the opportunity to enjoy, so that by mature experience after many births, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, he will understand that surrender to the lotus feet of Vasudev is the only duty of all living beings. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वांचा कल्प तरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Again, thank you all for joining and giving this wonderful opportunity to speak in the month of Damodar on Srimad Bhagavatam. And this topic of death and what happens after death is very difficult topic, and it's a difficult topic, but we have to know the details because it is part of the process, right? We evolve, we rotate in this life cycle, so it is a part of the process, and we see this event happening. So we will know as much as we can, but if you see, this knowledge is not given, especially this knowledge is not taught outside. You see, in any education, what happens, the cycle of birth and death and the law of karma, and what here we see in this episode, we see exactly how what happens exactly after death, like some more details are given to us. So here in this second chapter of this 7th canto, so this is where we are. Where are we? We are here where the queens and the relatives of Suyagnya, a great warrior who has left his body, who has died in the battlefield, and all his relatives are weeping and crying, right? That is a natural process. So we all go through this process, but what happens is we have to let things move on. Now, instead of moving on, the queens and their relatives are not allowing the body to be burnt, and they are crying so loudly that even Yamaraj could hear their lamentation. So they are excessively attached. Now the point comes, right? We will have emotions. Is it devotee or non-devotee, doesn't matter, but all of us will have emotions, and how we slowly channelize their emotions and how we see the Lord's hand in different activities, right? Slowly that reality will come. When Arjuna understood that Lord Krishna has left the planet, he also becomes so much bewildered. We see that, right? He also becomes so much bewildered. And even when Yudhishthira asks some questions, Arjuna could not speak. But slowly he recollects the jnana, the knowledge given by Lord Krishna, and he comes to his terms and answers the questions. So here the commotion is they are excessively attached. And we have seen in the previous verses that when somebody leaves the body during the daytime, it needs to be before sunset, the body has to be burnt. And we see, why the body has to be burnt. We have seen that Srila Prabhupada mentioning, I think in verse, we can go there and read that, mentioning in 36th verse, I think here. So here, sometimes the living entity is forced to give up his body and enter one according to the judgment of Yamaraj. It is difficult, however, for the conditioned soul to enter another body unless the present dead body is annihilated through cremation or other means. So it's very difficult to give him another body. So the living entity has attachment for the present body and does not want to enter another. And thus in the interim, he remains a ghost. So this kind of information for us is not available in the outside world. Only through scriptural knowledge, through these scriptures and through Prabhupada's purport and explanation, we'll be able to understand. So that's why most of the time we see the body is burnt the same day or by other means, buried or burnt, right? So here, or more information is given if it happens in the night, so it has to be done before the next day. And then we see the Shraddha ceremony. Every day they offer pinda to the departed soul, and the 13th day they do the function. So why that is done, is also given in many scriptures, like say Garuda Puran. So that's why doing the other ceremonies is very, very critical. Now they are lamenting over the body, but Yamaraj, wants to make sure that this Suyagnya moves on to the next body instead of suffering in the ghost body. Externally, it may seem that Yamaraj is not doing is trying to is trying to do something which is not very palatable. Is not allowing the queens or the relatives to express their emotion of crying. So it seems like that. But Yamaraj has his duty so that the living entity, instead of suffering in the interim state of ghost body, can move on to the next body. So here in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that Parikshit Maharaj asks a question. Is the Lord partial or impartial? So with that question, Sukadeva Goswami narrates the conversation between Yudhishthir and Narada Muni. And in that conversation, it comes that Hiranyakashipu was inimical to Prahalad Maharaj. So with that point, he asks why a father was inimical to his own son. Then he quotes that Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev. And then Hiranyakashipu becomes very inimical to Lord Vishnu himself. He thinks that Vishnu has become he has taken the sides of the Devatas, and he has become very childish. So like that he narrates, and he wants to take revenge of his brother's killing, and he wants to take away offerings to the yajnas and want to stop all those stuff. So in that process, he wants to bring his mother, his nephews and his sister-in-law out of grief. They were also too much grief-stricken. So as part of that, Hiranyakashipu quotes two stories, two pastimes from the scriptures. So we are seeing here that Hiranyakashipu knows, scriptures, and is quoting from the Puranas that we have seen. This episode of 27 to 36, 27 to 37, I think, where Hiranyakashipu is trying to console his relatives, and then he quotes this pastime, two stories, and then we are seeing one pastime from the scriptures, how in the past the Suyagnya was who has died in the battlefield, and his relatives were lamenting excessively for Suyagnya, and they were not letting him go. In that scenario, Yamaraj, he took the form of a boy and appeared in that scenario, because he has his part to do, because we have seen why Priti Vilasini Mataji has explained why Yamaraj took the part of a boy, right? I think Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that when a boy tells something, people understand it, people accept it. So he has taken the form of a child, and he comes and tries to console them and give that powerful information about how you are too attached. Now you have to let go this, and then here in this verse that we spoke today, that we wanted to discuss today, the main item was protection. You see, overall, you see, sa rakshita rakshati yohi garbe. So the Lord gives protection to everybody. And he's saying here, he's saying in this verse, Yamaraj in the form of a child is presenting in this verse. He's saying, I am very fortunate. Aho vayam danya atma. Danyata atma. Right? Danyata atma. Danyata means most fortunate. Why is he fortunate? He is fortunate in, it is saying in two ways. He's saying, Tyaktya pithribhyam na vichinta maya. Vichinta ya maha. So, I don't have any protection from pithribhyam, from mother or father. And he is a child. He is a balaha. Right? Balaha is a child or very weak. Right? And then when weak things are there, some other predominating things will dominate. And what happens here, other example is given is, like analogy is given is Vrika Adibhi, by tigers and ferocious animals. So when something is weak, here he is a child and is not being protected by his parents. And what will do these animals do? Abakshamanaha, they will eat it. Right? They will eat anything which is weak and which can't protect. But in these two scenarios, what this child is saying is, he is being protected. Right? Here we see Rakshita will protect, Rakshati has protected, even in the womb. So this is what he is saying, oh ladies, you please don't become weak. Don't think your husband only is the protector. You were being protected by the Supreme Lord through your husband. Right? Now the Lord will make some arrangements and protect you. Right? So he's saying, this child is saying, even I am, left alone without any protection. And I have been protected in the womb. I am being protected by this Vika Adibhi. Vrika is wild animals. Adibhi means other wild animals. Like that I have been protected. And I am not worried. Vichintya manaha. I am not worried because of the receiving protection from the Supreme Lord. Even at this moment I am alone. I am very weak. But I know I will be protected by the Supreme Lord. So this is the form faith. That's what Prabhupada ji is saying here, here. Thus, we have a firm belief that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given us protection even in the womb of the mother, will protect us everywhere. So this is what the Yamaraj in the form of the child is coming here to empower these ladies who are become weak on the death of Suyagnya. And one surprising thing is here Hiranyakashipu is quoting an Shastric evidence to console his relatives, and here the Supreme Lord is being quoted as a protector. So when you quote something from Shastras, it's very difficult to not to see the hand of the Supreme Lord. Here, that's what explicitly we see. Hiranyakashipu, he's not believing in the Lord. Maybe he believed before. He's not believing in Vishnu because he has taken he's behaving like a child and taken sides. So here, in his example also, it is seeing, the Supreme Lord is our protector. So with that point of protection, what we are seeing a purport from Srila Prabhupada exactly on that point. Srila Prabhupada is elaborating. He's not giving the context or any context of where we are, what we are, right? He will do that in some purports. But here on the point of protection, if you see the entire purport is circulating around that point of protection. So here we see, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhuthanam Hrideshu Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord is present in the core of everyone's heart. Thus the Lord gives protection to everyone and gives different types of bodies. Gives different types of bodies the living entity wants to enjoy. So he gives protection and he gives different bodies also. That's what Yamaraj wants to come and make sure, that the Lord's plan progresses, that the Suyagnya will get a different body. So that point of protection is being highlighted in the purport. Everything is done by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should not lament the birth and death of living being, which have been arranged by the Supreme Lord. So that's what, this our situation where we are, in this machine of the body. So depending on our previous karma and our swabhava. Swabhava is our subtle nature, which will make us desire something, and this karma, if we deserve, we will get it through our karma. So desire and deserve, right? So this karma and swabhava plays a major role. So the Lord gives us the body we deserve. So that's what Yamaraj is coming and making sure that Suyagnya can move on and these ladies can empower these ladies so that they depend on the Supreme Lord. And here Srila Prabhupada is saying that the Lord is there in our heart as the super soul, and he will protect. He is giving us different bodies. That is also for a reason. So what is that reason? He is giving us different bodies so that here we see the Lord gives the conditioned soul the opportunity to enjoy, so that by mature experience after many births, Bahunam Janmana Mante, he will understand that surrender to the lotus feet of Vasudev is the only duty of all living beings. So they will get there over a period of time. Now these ladies are very fortunate. They are getting the darshan of Yamaraj. They are getting the darshan of a pure devotee of the Lord. So that's how they are very fortunate. So they will be protected because they have the blessing of the pure devotee of the Lord. They will be definitely be protected by the Supreme Lord. So here, that's what we are seeing. Protection is the main part, and the Yamaraj coming here, and he is trying to get them out of lamentation, get them off Vichinta Yamaha, right? Vichinta, we know Chinta. They are in this deep Chinta of losing their loved husband, right? So here, if you see in previous verse where Yamaraj, when you see from 36 onwards, so where Yamaraj appears as Balaka, so we are seeing here Tatra ha preta bandhu nam ashrutya Paridevitam. So where these dear relatives of this Suyagnya, they are now Ashrutya. They are, what is this Ashrutya? They are in deep lamentation. And that lamentation could be heard by Yamaraj. So loud that it could be heard from the planet of Yamaraj. Aho, now we are seeing what's the relatives are doing. Right? They are in deep lamentation. Then Yamaraj, he himself, he is coming and he speaks to these relatives. He is saying, Ahatan balako bhutva yamaha swayam upagataha. He directly comes in the form of a balaka and he starts speaking. So we will see from 37 onwards, we see that's what is happening. Shri Yamau Vacha. Right? So from 37, like I will show one more version of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's translation of 38. So this is another slight different from Srila Prabhupada. So this section starts from 37 to 57. One story of narration by Hiranyakashipu. Yamaraj, in the form of a small boy, speaks philosophy to pacify the relatives of Suyagnya. So that's the section where Hiranyakashipu is quoting a pastime of Yamaraj appearing as a boy and trying to pacify the relatives. Right? So this is one purport from one translation, slightly different from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He's saying, Abala is translated instead of weak here as a woman. Oh woman, I am fortunate. Vayam Dhanya Atma. Right? So I am fortunate because, yeah, although abandoned by mother and father, Prithibhyam Tektvaha. So this child is saying, I am abandoned by them, but I am more fortunate. Why is he more fortunate? Because he is being protected by the Supreme Lord. I have not been eaten by wolves. Thus, I do not worry. Na vichintayatmaha. Right? He who protects me, ya rakshati, in the womb, garbhe, he is my protector now. Sahi rakshita. I do not worry, as he who protects me in the womb is my protector now. Thou young, I have understood. Thou young, I have understood. But these persons do not. He speaks in amazement. So that's what we are saying. Aho, right? He is speaking in amazement that, I as a young boy can understand that the Supreme Lord is a protector, and these ladies, are unable to understand. But here is not coming and saying, completely demonizing them, but he's trying to empower them so that slowly they can understand and come to the reality. So that is the best thing with the scriptures and the philosophy is even here. Srila Prabhupada is saying that, like if you see the purport where Prabhupada says that the Lord is there in our heart as super soul. But some conditioned souls don't understand that. Right here, if you see, he's saying, here, one must act according to the direction of the Lord within the heart. But because the conditioned souls want to act independently, the Lord gives in the facility to act and experience the reactions. So because we have minute independence, we don't have full independence, we have minute independence. So that independence is given to us so that we can experience whatever we want to, like independently of the Supreme Lord. Right? So the conditioned soul wants to enjoy. So that's why we are going through this cycle. And here this Yamaraj is coming and empowering this woman and the relatives, so that they can slowly focus and come to this point. The Lord says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Give up all other duties and simply surrender unto me. One who does not abide by the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is given the facility to enjoy this material world. Right? So that's what is happening. So Yamaraj is coming and trying to enlighten them. And through this pastime, we are also knowing, what happens exactly through different steps in life. right? Exactly now we are seeing here what happens at the time of death and what happens post death. So we see all those aspects. So instead of restricting them, because we have this minute independence, instead of restricting him, the Lord gives the conditioned soul the opportunity to enjoy, so that by mature experience. So now what happens is, we know this enjoyment is very temporary, or enjoyment leads to frustration, enjoyment leads to disease. Like we can say, if somebody is smoking or drinking, that enjoyment leads to so many other disease. Enjoyment, in the mood of enjoyment, we see there is so much frustration. So with with the help of devotees, so what happens is, this frustration can be turned into devotional service. So, and then they will be able to understand, because now they have maturity in thinking that this so-called enjoyment is not giving me full enjoyment. That they will come after many births, right? And then come at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this might happen after many births. But by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, so they have accelerated that process in Kali Yuga, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this Sankirtan movement just by Shravanam and Kirtanam. Though one limb or multiple limbs in the Navabhida Bhakti, we can attain the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead just in this life. That is the glorious part in this Kali Yuga, which has many faults. This Kali Yuga has many faults, but among many faults, the Lord is always merciful and gives us a path so that we can not, in other yugas the process is different, but so in Kali Yuga, what is our capability? For that capability, the Lord in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, has come and given us this Sankirtan movement. And recently we were reading how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does this South India Yatra, where people are immersed in so many philosophical aspects. He calls it as he calls it as in the clutches of crocodile, right? These philosophies are like that. Those clutches, they are not complete philosophies. So they are in the clutches of these crocodiles. Mahaprabhu comes, to protect them, like he has protected Gajendra, and he has given liberation to the crocodile also, right? So like that, he goes on this yatra and implants the seeds of Sankirtan Yajna, so that people can get easy liberation and come out of this cycle of birth and death. Here also we are seeing how Yamaraj is trying to help these ladies empower the relatives of Suyagnya. So that's what we are seeing. Instead of many births, we see this movement of Sankirtan Yajna. We can, if we are serious and sincere, in this one lifetime, we can achieve the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we see, he visits in the South India Yatra, he visits many Divya Deshams. So he starts his Yatra from a brief summary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Yatra. He starts from Jagannath Puri, and then he goes to this Kurma Kshetra. Right? This is very ancient temple in Srikakulam in Andhra Pradesh. It's a very ancient temple. We see all the acharyas visiting there, and we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visiting that place, and we see Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur visiting that place. Then from Kurma Kshetra, he goes to Vidyanagar. And in Vidyanagar, which is now currently called as Rajamandri, he meets Ramananda Rai, right? So from there, he goes to, in Vidyanagar only, there is a place called Gautami Ganga, right? So it is a branch of river Godavari. So from there, he goes to different places like Ahobilam, he goes to Tirupati, he goes to, then he goes to Kanchipuram, and then he goes to Srirangam. like that. Then he starts his trip further. Then he goes to Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple. Like that he goes, and all these places he's trying to empower the souls through the chanting of the holy name. And when he was in Srirangam for 4 months during Chaturmasya, he couldn't even the Brahmanas in that Srirangam place very excited to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to their homes, but he couldn't visit all of them. And then I think in Srirangam, he sees this Brahmana who was reading, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and he couldn't read properly. But he was reading with lot of emotions, but he couldn't read properly, couldn't pronounce. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could see these emotions of that Brahmana who was reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita and then he gave his personal darshan. The Lord himself gave his darshan, and the Brahmana could recognize the Supreme Lord. And like that. So the Lord is going to give darshan to his devotees and take these people out of these clutches of different Mayavadic philosophies, different philosophies. Like if you say one thing, what are the different philosophies, if you think, right? So we'll see the Buddhism. So the 9 principles of Buddhism are in this 9th, in Madhya Lila, 9th chapter, 49th verse. So what do Buddhists believe? Like if we see, right, like Hiranyakashipu is believing in his own way. He is having this Vedic background, but he's believing his own way, that saying, what he's saying that Vishnu has taken terms. The Lord changes, he's not stable person, like that he's thinking. So what the Buddhist think is, along the Buddhist path, there are 9 principles. The creation is eternal, therefore there is no need to accept creator. See, completely opposite what Vaishnavas think. The creation is eternal, therefore there is no need to accept a creator. And the cosmic manifestation is false. We can't even believe, cosmic manifestation is false. What does that mean? We don't know, right? For us, we know cosmic manifestation is temporary, right? Cosmic manifestation is there, but it goes through that cycles of cycles of creation, destruction, right? It goes through that cycles, but here it's saying it is false. I am is the truth, right? There is repetition of birth and death. So at least they are believing in this reincarnation aspect. Lord Buddha is the only source of understanding the truth. The principle of nirvana or annihilation is the ultimate goal, right? Annihilation is the nirvana, the annihilation, that is the ultimate goal. Death, I don't know, these two don't sync for us. There is repetition of birth and death, and then this doesn't sync. Like death is the ultimate goal of life, nirvana, right? The philosophy of Buddha is the only philosophical path. The Vedas are compiled by human beings. So this is another big deviation for us. That's why we don't pray to Lord Buddha, who is giving us this false philosophy and taking us away from the Vedas, right? So we have seen again and again the Vedas are compiled by the Supreme Lord. Pious activities, showing mercy to others, and so on, are advised. So these are the 9 principles of Buddhists, right? So they are in the clutches of this Maya, right? They don't believe in the Supreme Lord. So Mahaprabhu went to these different places to pull them out and show them the right path. So like that, here we see Yamaraj is doing that. So in this chapter, we are seeing at this phase where Yamaraj has appeared as a small boy and is giving instructions to them, because when a Bala gives the instructions, they do the woman, anybody tries to hear them, at least give attention to them, then the transformation happens. So Yamaraj is coming, he speaks. We have seen, like in this here, this is another 21 verses long pastime from the scriptures that Hiranyakashipu is quoting. to console his relatives. So this is what is happening here. And Prabhupada ji is quoting, he has quoted few verses from Bhagavad Gita where super soul is there in the heart, and why we have to come to the terms. Like say here, the ladies are lamenting and not letting go the body, right? Now the corpse has to be burnt, or some other process need to happen. Otherwise, after some time, there will be so much stinky smell. You have to anyway do that process, right? So he is coming and is giving this right knowledge to the relatives, and indirectly we are also knowing what is this process, how it happens, how we also can depend on the Lord. Like Yamaraj is being protected from, even if he did not have any explicit protection from his parents, but he was being protected by the ferocious animals, and he was protected in the womb also, right? Like that Yamaraj is coming and giving. So why we have to be cognizant of all these different aspects in life, where we are emotional, but we are emotional, but we have to go through those emotions and still do what we have to do. And Prabhupada ji writes in one of the purport, I forgot which one, he says self-realization is ultimate goal of human life, right? So we have to still proceed on our path of self-realization, and for the person who has passed away, also help him on the path of self-realization. Why is that? Because now his body is there, he is lingering as a ghost. So the relatives are not helping him also on the path of self-realization, right? So that's why Yamaraj, he personally came here and empowering these ladies. And generally, it's helpful for everybody, both the speaker and the hearer and the audience. All of them get benefited through these discourses, right? And then why we have to be like a dhira. We see in second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we all know this is a very famous verse, right? Very famous verse. So these two verses, 14 and 15, are in a good conjunction, in a good pair. They complete the knowledge. So it is saying matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama paino anityas tam titikshasva bharata. So matra sparshastu kaunteya, oh kaunteya. So these sense perceptions, matra sparshastu, sito, what are the sense perceptions? Sitoshna sukha dukkha. So we have externally, these Sita and Ushna. Sita is winter and Ushna is summer. So there are these variations of external conditions, we can say, right? And another part given is Sukha and Dukkha, right? Sito, Ushna and Sukha, Dukkha. These two variations. So we are going through these emotions outside and inside. So these things are agama, apaino, anityas. Nitya means eternal, anitya means temporary. So these are temporary stages. We all know there is the climate. Now it is winter, again spring, summer, like that. There is this climate change happens. It is cyclical. And Sukha and Dukkha also, they are also, even if we intensely desire only Sukha, that's not going to happen. Dukkha also comes, right? That is part of the process. So understanding this and the temporary nature of it, this, what is happening? The temporary nature, agama, apayino. They appear and disappear. So in that scenario of temporary nature, externally and internally, tam titikshasva bharata. So, O Bharata, so Arjuna is being addressed as Kaunteya and Bharata. Tam titikshasva. Titikshasva means become tolerant. Become tolerant. Tolerant means, it doesn't mean that we are not emotional. We are emotional, but we all again understand, the ultimate cause of everything. So that's how we see, we get emotional. That's where the sukha and dukkha aspects are mentioned. We get emotional, but we try to be tolerant of those emotions. So Prabhupada ji is saying one example we all can relate, is irrespective of any difficult condition, the mother will do cooking. Now we have so many facilities. We don't even know if the heater, if the in home, if heater is set in an automated mode, if it is cold outside, heater will run. If it is hot outside, AC will run. So we don't even know these days. But in previous times, we all have experienced it. A woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest part of the summer. So even it is saying the responsibilities are carried on. Like even it is a very difficult situation, the woman is not sitting there and saying, the mother is not sitting and saying, oh, it's too hot, I'm not going to cook today. No. See, one has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. So that's what titikshava means. That's what here this purport. So in second chapter itself, we are seeing this. And then when we tolerate, what is the benefit? Right? We would like to know, when I tolerate these difficult situations, what is that benefit? So here this verse glorifies that what is that benefit when we tolerate. So here, when these ladies can tolerate and give up their body, it is better for them, and it is better for the departed soul. Here this second verse, it says, Yam hina vyavastayanti te purusham purushar shaba sama dukkha sukam dhiram so amrutatvaya kalpate. So, oh purusham purushar shaba, oh great personality. So when you are sama to dukkha and sukha, sama in the sense, now you will be like a dhira who can tolerate. So it says that when we can do this, the ultimate thing is so amrutatvaya kalpate. We will be eligible for liberation. We will be eligible for devotional service. We will be eligible for any other yoga process that even somebody is following. We will be eligible to do our duty properly. Right? We will be eligible to make Suyagnya go on his path, right, of getting the next body instead of hanging as a what is that, without bodiless spirit, right? So that's what we are seeing now in the second chapter, where there are two pastimes that will be narrated. One pastime of Yamaraj appearing as a Bala and giving instructions to these relatives of Suyagnya, so that they can come out of their lamentation, let go the body, so that Suyagnya can move on in his next life, because that is part of the process. We are given this machine to utilize it, and then when the machine's life or term is over, it will move on. And then we have these emotions. How do we channelize those emotions, and how do we tolerate these emotions and benefit everybody? Now everybody is put into a difficult situation. Like we see this picture here, where we are seeing that here we are seeing, it's very, very difficult situation for everybody. Here Queen's lamentation, citizens will be unhappy. You are grateful husband and sincere friend, let us follow you and serve you, right? So the Queen's lamentation is not means we can't say it's not a right thing. They can lament, but they have to see what are the next steps. See here, the next steps were queens were not allowing the body to be burnt, right? So that's why Yamaraj, who has this responsibility to make sure the jivas pass on to the next body, the jiva get a fresh opportunity. That's what when pass on to the next body means. The jiva, based on their karma and swabhava, they get a different body, so that now in that body also they get an opportunity to utilize. We have that minute independence, right? To utilize to come to the lotus feet of the Lord or to be in this cycle, right? So with that, we have seen the second chapter, seventh canto, second chapter, 38th verse, spoken by Emaraj to the relatives who were lamenting. So with that, we can end here. If anybody has any questions, comments, we can discuss that part. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. Thank you so much for the wonderful lecture. So you covered so many verses and quoting back into Bhagavad Gita and all, very nicely elaborated, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I see Sukhkar Krishna Prabhu. Please go ahead, Prabhu. Unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, Suresh.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu, you got muted, Prabhu.
Is my voice audible?
Yeah, now audible, Prabhu.
Now audible.
Oh, wonderful class, Sureshwar Shyam, such a elaborate class about Yamarajas coming. So in this case that it is Hiranyaksha passed away and his wife is not allowing the body to be taken. Hiranyaksha's wife.
No, Prabhu. If you see few verses, the body was burnt. The Hiranyaksha's body was taken care, but they were too much immersed in
sorrow,
attached to him, and they were not moving on.
But Prabhu, here Hiranyakashipu is telling about Bhagavad Gita. That means he knows all the Shastras, but he is not following. He knows how to pacify by telling about Atma, body and all. But he doesn't believe in Vishnu.
Yeah,
he
so
knows.
We'll read one small. I was reading before this for this preparation. I was reading this Prabhu from Gauranga Darshan Prabhu's this book called Bhagavad Pravaha.
Gita.
Bhagavad Pravaha. He's saying here, even demons know philosophy, but don't always apply it in their practical life due to false attachment or lack of piety. So they know, right? Most of us intrinsically know what's happening, but we have convoluted philosophies, and the Lord, because of our because of our swabhava, he gives us the option to make sure whatever we're thinking is right, and through involvement of his devotees, he will come and poke and break it, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did this in South India Yatra, right? We were saying like how he broke the Buddhist understanding and gave them the right understanding. Yes,
Prabhu, actually what you told, it was really, I could see in my life. I came to ISKCON, joined 1989 and 93, I got initiated. And then I was in Mumbai, so I used to go for Chowpatty Temple, Radhanath Maharaj classes and all. My father suddenly developed a disease and he was admitted in Bhaktivedanta Hospital. So all the disciples of Radhanath Maharaj, they supported me, Radha Gopinath Prabhu and all. And my father was in coma for 5 days. So Radhanath Maharaj said, every day Jagannath will come to the room and bless. And on the 5th day, my Guru Maharaj told that I will give shelter to your father. But my father was not so favorable, but he took shelter. And on the day he left his body, 14 of the doctors, Krishna Prem Prabhu and so many devout disciples of Radhanath Maharaj came and chanted 4 rounds. 4:30 they started. By 5 o'clock he said, your father has gone back to Godhead, like that. Then again the leg moved here and there. He said, I think your father wants one more round. Then one more round we chanted and he breathed his last. And when we came home also, Radha Gopinath Prabhu came for 11 days. All the 11 days, as you said, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam in the morning, Bhagavad Gita afternoon, and then class. Then now there is a Bhakti Viksha cell for 300 people in Chembur. So I really thank Radhanath Maharaj and all the devotees. And as you said, that 13 days the ghost is in the house, the Atma. So if one is doing all Krishna Kirtan chanting and all, then automatically there a lot of cleansing process happens and the soul becomes happy. And so what you told, it was reflected in my life and my father's going by, passing away. Thank you, Prabhu. I wanted to share.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful answer. Preeti Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji, with your questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sureshwar Shyam Prabhu, thank you so much. I just wanted to say some words of appreciation and thank you for the very nice class. It was so logically explained, very nicely, systematically presented. It was easy to follow also, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Just request to the organizers to bring Prabhu quite frequently so we can hear such wonderful classes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. I heard your class also. You have explained it nicely, Mataji. So, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Sureshwar Shyam Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhu. You have given very detailed explanation from moving from one chapter of Bhagavatam to other chapter and again coming back to Bhagavad Gita. It is so nice. Especially I like wherein you brought 9th canto 4th chapter, if I'm not wrong. I don't know if I saw that rightly. Their Buddhist philosophy, you brought it and you explained us clearly how Hiranyakashipu's understanding is. That really made me more clear, Prabhuji. Even when I gave the class, I was going back and forth to see exactly what is the mentality of Hiranyakashipu. But this explanation of Buddhist understanding, it made me even more clear understand how the Hiranyakashipu's mentality is. Thank you so much, Prabhu, and really wonderful class, Prabhu. I don't know if I just wanted to ask this question. I don't know if it is relevant, but in the Telugu movie that this one. Annamaya, that movie, that when the son dies, that lady asked, can you please bring back my son? So he says that, you go and get a mustard seeds in somebody's house who is not died. Then I will get back your son. Prabhu, is there anywhere, reference to this particular thing? I was thinking it's really very good because she goes to everybody's house. In your house is that somebody did not die so that I can get my son back, like that. And finally she'll understand that, this death is very common to happen in every house. So we need to just move on our life. So I was just thinking that because it's Telugu movie, that's why I was asking to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Mataji. In the previous verse, if we see, right, that was the exactly where Yamaraji was starting that point. So, Aho Amisham Vayasa Adikhanam, right? This boy is saying Vayasa Adikham. So, you are all elder to me. And he's saying, you see every day, right? Vipashyatham Loka Vidhim Vimohaha. So, you are so much bewildered, but you see Loka Vidhim, how this world is organized, the laws of nature, that everyone dies. That you're seeing every day, right? So what's happening? What happens? They come from certain place, they go back to that place, right? Manusham yatra gatas tatra gatam. So this is what exactly was explained, Mata. If you see, Yamaraj said, alas, how amazing it is. These persons who are elder than me have full experience that hundreds and thousands of living entities have taken birth and died. Thus, they should understand that they are also apt to die, yet still they are bewildered. The conditioned souls come from unknown place and returns to unknown place. So this was and there is no exception to this rule, right, Mataji? So exactly same point was narrated in the previous verse, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. And the movie name is wrong. It's why Prabhu just came into it. But I was thinking when I was giving the class, I was thinking from so many examples how we can relate to understand more. And when we understand, then only we can speak about it. So I was remembering that point. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. As Preeti Mataji said, we coordinators should come and speak once in a while so that we will learn more about these verses. Thank you, Prabhu, for your association in this most auspicious month of Damodar and Bhishma Panchak is going on. Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Yeah, we have more raised hands, Padma Mataji.
Yeah, sorry, Mataji. I was talking on my mute. Hemi Mataji, please go ahead and ask your question, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Prabhuji, wonderful class. I was just wondering about this. I mean, it was mentioned that this Pinda ceremony should be done, after after person dies. Now, we don't know at least if somebody's gonna do Pinda for me or not. So, is there something we should be doing while we are alive so that our journey after death is easier because we don't know if somebody's going to do it, the Shraddha for us or not?
Yeah. So, Mataji, there are two aspects. One is the Shraddha part and all are given. And these are not, at least in Kali Yuga, in our, these are all not very mandatory, Mataji, for at least for devotees. It has to be done if we can do as much as possible. But in a higher purpose, if you see, this is not mandatory for devotees. Because when devotee passes away, we all know, the Lord personally takes care of it. So we can always depend on the Lord. Like we see how Yamaraj was trying to push the relatives towards the dependencies of the Lord, right? Because they were he was saying, I am also in difficulty, but I am not getting this anxiety, right? Because I am depending on the Lord. So we also can depend on the Lord, and other things, backward things, how they will happen, Mataji. Because we are not, culturally strong these days, right? So much culture is being lost, even just in 20-30 years, right? Because so we don't know what our future generations will do. That's why the simple process of Sankirtan Yajna is given to us. So net Mataji, I would say it's not. So somehow we should keep reading and have our dependency on the Lord. The Lord will take care of what will happen backward. Okay, Mataji?
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Sudhakar Prabhuji, please go ahead, unmute yourself and go ahead with your questions, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have 2-3 questions, but because I joined a little bit late, sorry for that. But I would like to know, this, in one of the slides I've seen Sujanya, the story of Sujanya, right? Yeah. Who's this Sujanya? Is the same Hiranyakshu? This is or
no? In this story where Hiranyakashipu, he is now consoling his relatives after the passing away of Hiranyaksha. So to console his relatives, he is telling one example. He will quote 2 examples from the Shastras. One is this examples about Suyajna, where he passed away in the battlefield. Like same Hiranyaksha passed away in a battle with the Vishnu. So here also he passed away in the battlefield. How they were consoled through knowledge from Yamaraj. So he's quoting that so that his nephews, his mother, his sister-in-law, all will be consoled.
Okay. So I thought, sorry, I was not in the initial stage. And even in that story, I couldn't get why Yamaraj is coming in that stage. Yeah, usually, Yamaraj does not come for everybody, right? For every living soul, he does not come as relatives, right?
You see, Prabhu, last verse, Purti Vilasini Mataji was mentioning those reasons. So these relatives were too much attached to the body. See, the appropriate time for the body to be burned, but the queens not allowing to be taken away, continued lamenting for the dead body, which they kept on their laps. In the meantime, the sun completed its movement for setting to in the west. So, according to the Vedic system, if a person dies during the daytime, it is customary for the funeral ceremony to be performed before the sunset. So this was, otherwise we see many reasons. The body stinks a lot, and then the soul is there hanging in in the spirit, right? So like that, so they have to complete that ceremony. So that's Yamaraj in the form of a boy, so that he can give these instructions. When a boy tells something, people listen at least, and then they can meditate on those instructions. So that's why Yamaraj himself came as a boy to deliver these instructions for them and for us also.
Okay, bro. But we see at least I've seen some people after the death, they don't burn the bodies. They bury the body in the
It could be
ground.
anything. It was saying, right? It is said, Prabhupada ji says, it could be like here in this verse, it was saying, body, unless the present body is annihilated through cremation or other means. Some means, right? Not everyone follows the same.
Okay.
So it could be cremation or any other means. You have to let go the body. That's the main thing. Otherwise, it will remain as a ghost, not spirits or a ghost, like that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Preeti Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji. See, I don't know if it is from previous or Mataji, if you please go ahead.
Mataji, she again raised her hand.
Yeah.
If there are no more questions, just a kind request to the Bhakti Sangha devotees, since the topic is also very much about passing away, Shraddha, etc. So requesting prayers. Today is the third anniversary for my Prabhuji. So I request everyone to kindly keep him in your prayers today as we perform the ceremonies. Thank you.
Definitely, Mataji, we will all pray for Prabhuji and you. We all miss him, yes.
Thank you. Sure. Do you have any raised hands?
Maybe we all can chant 3 times for Prabhu, all of us together, Mahamantra.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can do that.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare.
Thank you all so much. And I'm very grateful to Bhakti Sangha because it was even the final rites were done online on Bhakti Sangha. So thank you all so much. You devotees have been very instrumental in helping Prabhu's journey. So thank you all.
He has gone back home, back to God and Mataji, being in Bhakti Sangha. Prabhu.
Thanks for the blessing.
Vrindagopika Mataji has a comment here. Just she was saying, so Prabhu's very interesting class, Prabhu, as usually. Thank you so much. Please accept our humble obeisances. Hare Krishna. And praying Jagannath Prabhudas Prabhuji ki so sincere Vaishnava Sirit. Good Dandavat Pranam. Any other devotees who has any other questions? Don't see raised hands or anything.
Yeah, we can close the call here, Mataji. Today we don't have parikrama.
Yeah.
Today we don't. Tomorrow will be the last day of parikrama. Mostly thinking that he will be available for the class. Yeah.
Vancha kalpa. So let's pay our obeisance to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. His grace Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Hare.
Thank you everyone for joining.